frankly, I am a little bit nervous talking about this topic because we understand how systemic the thing is. It's not easy for us to change one thing while it is interconnected with so many other factors in the system. And that is why I frankly really hope that it's the policymakers who are listening to our conversation and to seriously take into account about everything. I also personally choose to wear just a very casual because, a t-shirt because the connotation is to break down and to destroy all the bureaucracy and formalities because those are not serving learning by any means. That is the first thing. Right. To take some small examples from where we are now here in Finland, our SPM in Malaysia is equivalent to finishing grade 9 in comprehensive school in Finland. But those who are taking finishing grade 9 is at the age of 15 or 16. So they're like PT3. So the entire schooling experience is a little bit shorter from what we have in Malaysia. So how Finland is dealing with grade 9 students graduating from comprehensive school. First, it's already there in the system that the amount of grades to be granted to students based on final examination is relatively very, very small. Students are measured through their what we call it assignments, their performances throughout the year, not only in grade 9, but right from grade 1 or at least from grade 6. Meaning that in the situation of COVID-19 in Finland, where students are unable to have the proper kind of assessment at schools, the government decided that we should not force too much to pay attention too much on this matter. Just look at the entire performance of the students from previous years. Then there is where we should decide about the students' grade. And this grade matters because the students need to use this grade to apply for high schools or the pre-university program. So my point is, whenever we talk about changes in education, there's always this one thing very untouchable, and that is the examination. In primary school, it's easier for us to introduce different type of school, different way of teaching and learning. But when it comes to secondary school, we all got stuck with examination. Okay, we can bring fun, we can bring technology, but at the end, are my students ready for this examination? So I am really, I'm fully agreed with one of our audience just now highlighted that the way SPM and STPM and our examination are being accessed or conducted is outdated. You can imagine before COVID-19, how, for example, some students, they perform very well throughout the year, but let's say like 2 weeks or a month before SPM, they had a mental breakdown, they had problem, or even caught into fever and etc. And because of that, they cannot perform well during the examination, the high stake examination. And at the end, when they got the result did not tell the actual potential the students have. So there's already injustice of doing that kind of examination. It's only about assessing how the students strong enough to recall information at last minute. And more importantly, the injustice is not only for students who are sick towards the examination, but even to the excellent student. Because when you have this outdated kind of assessment, students got straight A's and they got false impression about their own ability. And then when they go to the university, suddenly they realize they are not as smart as they think about themselves. They started to have a lot of trouble because university level is very much different from schooling experience, because at university you need to be more independent. You have to take more charge about your own learning, and less structure, more freedom, no more parents, no more people around you to scold you or to remind you. So you need to be very good in self-regulation, and many students cannot survive in that matter. So because of that, I think it is a very very important for us to tackle this issue, not from certain what we call the isolated angles, but we need to tackle this matter as a system. It's very systemic. So maybe it is not us, I mean, at least it is not me who can actually do it. Our way of doing it is to have our own small, I don't like to say our school as private school, but we call our school as independent school, because we need to maintain the independent way of thinking and believing about education. That is one thing. But as for the public education, it requires a really paradigm shift among the policymakers to deeply engage in discussion and to ask, because if the public education doesn't change now, then when the change will happen, the public education, SPM, STPM will be left aside, because it is no longer serving the purpose of education itself. And even us in private education, we are also started to ask about what will be our value proposition now. Why parents want to send children to private schools if private schools are only providing the same content with public education, and yet they still need to pay a lot of money, while everything is online? We have Hans Academy, we have so many free resources online. Why do you still want to send your children to all these expensive schools while the value proposition remain the same? So this is a very fundamental crossroad that everyone need to ask ourselves. What should we do to change? So maybe I raise more questions than answer. I don't know. So I pass back to you. Yeah.